Now, kind of a cool story, sad at the same time, but Barry, my big target buck that I was after towards the end of the season, he dropped his antlers on somewhere between December 18th and 19th. So we had video with him, morning of the 18th, and then without him in the afternoon, daylight. And he's only 150 yards away. So Jen and I came out to shed hunt the other day before the new year, which is crazy, just looking for his antlers. And this is a spot that Dylan and I had discussed in the past. And when I'm shed hunting, my primary focus for shed hunting is, you know, I want to spend my time out in the woods fruitfully, and so I'm scouting. And I find myself when I'm shed hunting looking around for stand locations and access and bedding areas and rubs and scrapes, sometimes more than I am antlers. So some people are better shed hunters than I am, and that's probably one of the reasons why. And so we get to this spot. Dylan and I have talked about this before, and this is an amazing spot because it has several key ingredients for what I want to build in an incredible morning rut stand. And it's not just morning rut stand, opening day of gun season. Maybe we find that there's a buck back here on this hillside. He's getting really good airflow during the summertime. He's still here because he's hitting the big food plot out there. And I'm going to talk about a few key factors that I like about this spot and where we're going to eventually put the stand. And we're putting the stand right up here in this oak. And now it's a perfect tree for a stand, and that's not the reason you ever pick out a stand location, ever. In fact, it can be very, very deceiving and can mislead you by just walking through the woods, and that's a great stand, and yeah, we can make it work. We want to find the location and then pick the best tree available. There happens to be a really good one here, but some key factors in this location. And this is outside of the fact this is a saddle right here. There's already rubs and scrapes here. We're going to add a mock scrape right here, which is actually over an existing scrape. This is an existing scrape right here. Broke the branches off. I happen to have a vine in the back of the side-by-side with some rope, camera, and I'm going to hang that right here. We have a tree over here that's angling this way. We're going to put the camera on. Multitude X of trails coming in this location. Obviously, we're not putting a stand in a spot where we don't think there's deer movement. There's great movement across this saddle. This is a low point in this ridge that goes out. Ridge actually gets higher towards the end up there and really rocky. The sign towards that end, because it's so steep all around it, there's just not much sign. It really diminishes. So when we get into this area, this is a spot we want to be. We've talked about it in the past. But aside from all that, you know, being a good spot, what makes this a good spot? Well, starting out on the food plot here, about 175 yards away, we have a 4.5 acre food plot. It's really big. And what makes that food plot put bucks back in this location is its ability to hold does in the bedding area. That bedding area first starts because we have thick edge around that food source, and we're making it even better. Because on the east side and west side of that food plot, we will cut the timber, let it fall into the brush and existing brush. We have really good brush edge. We didn't take as much space as we could for that food plot. We left 1.5 acres or 2 on either side of brush and overgrown brush. So imagine the woods that are on the outside of that point, we're gonna fall it in so that then sunlight can get into either side. And basically what we're doing is we're expanding that brush edge by taking out more mature timber or older pole timber that's not contributing to habitat or wildlife. We're cutting that in, and now we already have grouse in this area anyway. So the grouse cover, food and cover for whitetails and rabbits. We already have great pheasants over there, turkey nesting. So it just all create that combination. What that does though is when we put that thick edge around that food plot, now it takes does that might otherwise be bedding 150 yards back, and it puts them right up against that food source. They feel comfortable there. We already have the switchgrass edge. We'll have that thick brush line. We already have brush over there. So by the time we get back here, then we have that buck bedding. Now second, that doe bedding is critical. I want to make sure those does aren't bedding right here, because then if the does are bedding here, where's that buck bedding? I want to be on the back side of that buck bedding area. So by placing those does back there, then the bulk of the deer herd that might be in here in the morning when we come in before daylight is well away from this location, 150 yards away, 100 yards away, 125 yards away, if they're even bedding there in the first place. So we have that great edge that establishes and pulls deer closer to that food source to bed in the form of does and fawns. That places bucks back here, which is great. And then we know bucks aren't out at that edge, so we're really coming to that backside. Now access, that's number 3. We have really good access because we're not accessing from the food plot. We're accessing behind Dylan right here, drops off considerably, and we can actually park because we have lower easement to come into this spot we actually can park right here. Like if I shouted here down at the truck, they'd hear me very easily, just raising my voice a little bit. That's how close. You can even hear the road going by, the road noise going by this location. So we're parking down the bottom down there. It's a steep walk in, but we can come in the non-deer steep side and get into this location. And we want to have access. We already have old logging roads coming in here, but we'll just clean those out so that we can back in here, drive into this area, put water in a water hole eventually, and then we want that dozer road to angle down the side down here. And it's only like a 125-yard connection to our lower road at an angle so that we can come up, we can walk in on a road, which means that even if we have our GreenMax traffic blend, that's meant to hold soil and be a soft cushion when you walk, it doesn't hold a lot of scent because it doesn't get that tall. So we can mow that road coming in here, have a really good road. So we have great access well away from the does and the food plot that's up there. We can sneak into this spot and get into the location. So access is awesome coming into this location. Now also, wind direction, and this is pretty cool. When we get into that stand right there, this way is east, ridgeline is back that way towards the food plot. That's east, that's west. Because the point is only 20 yards wide up here, we can sit up top there and blow our scent. Like we're getting westerly winds right now, it's just gonna blow right off that top in the morning. We don't expect deer the further you get out to this point anyways. So if we have directly east winds blowing that way, west winds blowing that way, we're covered. I think we can even get away with west-southwest blowing at this angle and east-southeast blowing this way. Then anything east, west, northwest, northeast, and anything north, we can hunt this. So that gives us over 180 degrees of wind direction that we can come into here. So we have that edge to keep the does and fawns up there. We have the does and fawns bedding in that location. We have great access, and then we have great wind. And then finally, we're always looking for those morning rut stand, gun season opener stands, maybe muzzleloader opener later, where we have an open water source. And so this makes it great to put one of our tubs in this location. And you start to think, well, where's water? We have a spring down the bottom over here. It's about 250 yards down. And the deer that are cruising around up in these tops, people say, well, I have good water source on the property. It's never a good idea to have great water sources on your property. That creates diversity, which is good, but it also, if you have a lot of water all over the property, it makes it so that a water hole isn't of any value because deer can go anywhere for water. Instead, these deer are not going to go all the way down to the bottom to get into that spring and come all the way back up. So the water hole that's here, the water hole that's 500 yards that way, the water holes that are 700-800 yards on the other side of the draws here, 600 yards away, they're all in play because deer are not going to go from these top edges where all the food is at and all the does and all the bedding and go all the way down the bottom. And there's bucks that bed down there, but they're not bedding right near that water, and that's our only water source around here. So perfect spot for a water hole. I like to put a water hole where we can hunt morning, and then afternoon. What's really nice, if we're getting west northwest winds, we don't have a lot of deer down in this steep face down towards the truck. So perfect afternoon west wind, northwest. That's some of our predominant best rut hunting opportunities for wind direction. So this creates in this location not only a great rut stand morning hunt, which those are some of my most preferred stands that we have. It creates an early season opportunity. If there's bucks bedding back here on this ridge, they want that cool airflow. They're going right out to food over here. The ag fields are distant beyond that, alfalfa. So we're right in that wheelhouse for buck bedding, maybe in the early season, during the rut, opening day of gun season. Might sneak back here for deer and muzzleloader. And at the same time, if we're back in here for a morning hunt, really great opportunity to sit all day for bucks that are cruising during the rut, coming back to water, bedding off to the side, coming to this water, going out to food, coming from the food to here, it's not that far away. We have some spots like that make great all day and afternoon sits. And who knows, we might try getting up that steep face to get in here in the afternoon knowing we're not gonna spook deer. But definitely we could sit here till 11, 12, 1 o'clock and walk right down that steep face, not going back into our new road that we'll add. And this creates the perfect setup. And that's why I love scouting right at the season ends. Now we just happen to get this little inch of snow or whatever it is, and that kind of messes things up, especially for finding Barry's antlers. But that scrape was there. We had 3 scrapes in this location. There's old rubs all around. I love old historical sign on big trees as much as I do fresh sign from this year because it shows a history of bucks, not just bucks here in one location. In this stand location, not only has all the ingredients for a great sit, a great rut hunt, great mornings, afternoon sits, but who knows, maybe we'll even find berry sheds around here. So when we're walking in and out, we're definitely looking for them. I just kind of bummed that we have that snow over it right now. But bottom line is, when you're out shed hunting, when you're out scouting, this is the perfect time of the year to scout, right after the season ends. Our season ended 3 days ago. So really great to get out here right now, poke around, and you can bet this is a stand location. We can't wait to set up, let alone hunt. And then now Dylan and I are going to add a mock scrape to this and get out of the woods and shoot some more videos. So can't wait for this entire setup to be done and looking at it. It gets me excited and fired up for next season, and I can't wait to bring it to you this fall. I appreciate you guys watching the YouTube channel, but I don't know if everyone knows everything that we have to offer, whether it's on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, our website, or WHS Wildlife Blends, our seed company. Also Instagram you can check out. I'm very active on Instagram, putting strategies on there, photos of what we do every day. Much more active there than Facebook. But our seed, web classes, books, clients, articles. I have over 600 articles on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, everything whitetail strategy. Of course, we have hats on there, and then make sure to check us out on Instagram again. But lots of stuff to offer. We're always coming out with new things, and this isn't the end of it. We have more things coming soon. Make sure to check us out.